Collards on a double though, and he finds the third through the smoke. Just enough. And he gets a 3K with it up.
With 3 seconds left, Final lands the pre-fire. Nobody can kill him in time.
And he clutches it out. What a play from the alibi as the lobby player goes unchecked.
Welcome back, everyone. We just saw quite the upset, 7-3 for S2 over Parabellum. And we'll see if we can get another one. Vipers Esports up against Collegiate Connoisseurs is up next.
And the Collegiate Connoisseurs coming into this one from the qualifiers. Vipers, not so much. One of the invited teams being that of a Challenger League squad. I can't say that I'm favoring one team really over the other, but Vipers, if I had to make a prediction, because I did before the game started, they were my choice of squad.
Yeah, it's hard, again, to bet against a team like Vipers going up against a team, a ragtag team of collegiate players. Vipers consist of Creators, Maxley, Poison, Twist, and they have recently acquired Drix, a T3 player who was previously with, I think, Gangster's Disciples, which was him, Haiku, Reapa's, Tones, and before that was teaming with Frozen on Achieve, and he's always been a pretty solid player. We've seen him have incredible gun skill, and I think he's got a lot to offer for this roster.
I'm especially looking at Drix back from Achieve because that's where I saw him the most, and that's where he really popped off in the T3 scene, and I think the reason that he's currently with the Vipers organization. Now, Poison, you'd expect would be IGLing this team, obviously coming out of the final CL stage. May not 100% be the case, but the real and prevalent part for the Collegiate Connoisseurs on the other side is eliminating what could be that consistency that should be there for the Vipers. Of course, coming through the quals doesn't fully help you because you were streamed more often than not, and the information's there for the Vipers. I still think Vipers are taking this, but Collegiate Connoisseurs, we've seen bigger upsets. I don't know, like 10 minutes ago, where some ragtag S2 squad from Tier 3 just casually eliminated a Tier 1 team in North America.
Yeah, but we can actually hear directly from the man who's going to try and put a stop to any upset potential, the legendary IGL, Mr. Vipers himself, Poison.
Hey guys, my name is Poison. I play for Vipers Esports. I think it's very important to have competitions in the offseason because a game like Siege, the information that's given to us tends to be very last second. So it's nice to have leagues that we can trust on to give good quality games, you know, good prize pools, since we never know what's going to happen with the main frame of the game. Crazy things happen all the time with like little warning, so. Attacks were just rough for us, mainly at the start of the stage. It's been getting better, but how we fixed that, originally we had Twist on entry. It wasn't working. Like, Twist is like a fearless player. We were kind of getting led into like tough situations in our rounds, and Twist plays very quick, but we moved Twist to hard support. He's done really good at that. It's nice to have a really good aimer on your hard support roles who also knows how to like drone and do all that. Then I'm more of on like soft support role where I'm trying to hold in the flanks most of the time. And then Filthy, who's not with us anymore, was playing flex. And then we had Creators and Max on entry.
Last dead. Okay. I'm on the Kashmir. Yeah. Nice.
Oh, got me from E-Box.
Iconic.
E-Box. Alright, one pillar pushing through in a box in here.
1 op 4 remaining. 15 seconds.
Pillar. Pushing hole.
Oh, hot door.
Wow!
Iconic.
I was pretty bad. I got made fun of a lot. I kept grinding. I got better. I moved up tier. I'm still known as like a meme in that tier. People call me bad. I just keep winning. I keep getting better. And I'm here to stay. I'm here to improve. Probably JJ, but not really anymore because I don't even get to play JJ anymore. He doesn't get to play in CL, the league that I play in. Like, I wish I could play JJ, but he's not good enough to play me anymore, so that sucks. Other rival, probably Mr. B. I mean, we share the name, Mr. P, Mr. B. Stage 2, I destroyed his team 7-1. Stage 3, he destroyed my team 7-3. And in SCS, looking maybe for a rematch so I can show who the more dominant Mr. is. The team that's easiest to beat in my eyes is probably LG because they have Eddie. Eddie shakes against me, so that's really it.
One was in stat. Okay. Walked into your.
Last stop standing.
Split.
That's that Kovacs.
Gotta be my boy Max 1, the most hated player, but he's been grinding. Everyone says he's a scrim star. He's a scrim star who keeps improving on game day. And one of these days, all that scrim energy is just gonna go right into game day, and you guys will have no clue how to react. I mean, you guys probably know a little bit. You know, I got a little manga collection. I like watching sports, shown behind me. I'm a pizza delivery driver. I walk dogs. I do yard work. Got ways to make money. I also stream the game a lot. Twitch.tv/PoisonOurSuccess. Big rank streamer, you know. Yeah, that's really it. I mean, I like collecting. I like watching sports. I work and I stream ranked. That's my life. Probably Destroy Lonely. If anyone hasn't been on the wave, I was just hopping on it. I mean, no stylist, you know, we talked about a lot in our CL games in the alt chat. So if you're not on D-Lone, I would just hop on the train right now. Favorite movies, probably Forrest Gump and Moneyball. Forrest Gump, like, this is a good vibes movie. I get happy watching it. And Moneyball, it's a great movie. It's about like baseball and like the stats that go into baseball and how like a team that had a lot less money, how it would compete against the big money organizations. So they found out like a formula to play baseball, but like a lot cheaper, and it used a lot of math. And it's just a really cool movie. So it's just watching Forrest Gump or Moneyball if anyone hasn't seen them.
Knock ran inside.
One friendly operator remaining.
Okay, alright, blow yourself up.
One op 4 remaining.
Oh my god.
Successful.
He's goated and cracked.
Now we can look at our highlight player after the words from Mr. P, and he talked about Twist being switched from this entry role to hard support. In stage 3, he boasted a pretty good rating, 1.25. That's definitely nothing to scoff at. Plus 30 on the KD, plus 1 on the entry, a 70% cost. He was not bad on entry at all. It'll be interesting to see how he acclimates to hard support.
Well, with Poison noting the fact that he's a Moneyball fan and going towards baseball where statistics can mean a whole lot, those statistics for Twist mean a whole lot in favor of Viper's Esports, leading to the aggression and possibly elimination of Collegiate connoisseurs here in round 1. I like the stats that are brought forward, but of course stats don't always tell the full story, and over a long period of time they can more often, but that may not be the case because every game in and game out could be a new monster to face.
And speaking of monsters, this is who Vipers have to play against. Wacko, Arno, Locurio, Deson, and Kosa. The name, so I casted some of these guys in quals, but the only name that I actually recognize from this team is Locurio. He played with a team known as Fernie's Tacos for a pretty long time. It was like him, Nat, Prodigy, I don't know, a couple other friggin' people. That team has had so many people on it. But Locurio was there for a bit, and that's mainly where I know him from. He's typically a flex player, sometimes play frag as well. Curious to see what he does here on Collegiate Connoisseurs.
It really depends on the squad, and how the squad wants to meld could be a day-by-day basis thing for them, especially as the stack they are. We'll take a look at where they may be taking it. Oregon and Chalet ban first, rather than not banned at all and second to last, as we saw in the previous series. I also like the fact that Club has gone fairly early for Collegiate.
I'm a little worried that Vipers are going to take Collegiate Connoisseurs somewhere weird. Because the last team we saw take them somewhere weird, they actually... So Collegiate Connoisseurs went down 0-5 and then came back and won 7-5. And Vipers are going to bring them to Border. I don't know about this. Border, I mean, you know, it hasn't changed a whole lot. There are different ways to play it, but you can also get crazy on this map. Border has always been one of those maps where you can just do whatever the hell you want. Kind of like Coastline was, where you can pull out almost anything and it has a possibility of working. And that's why I don't know if I'm a fan of this from Vipers.
Well, I think it still favors them, mainly because Forceful predicted them. That's the only reason
That
that
too.
I am
That's our
still
litmus
sticking
test.
with Vipers. If Forceful predicts you, you're probably gonna win. So just get on his good side, or whatever side of the series he decides to predict. He was pretty good with that in CL as well. It's kind of scary to see the consistency and smarts from this guy. No wonder DZ decided to pick him up as an analyst.
Yeah, I think DZ had him at an analyst. Like, he was trialing with Astralis. I mean, he's coached for like forever. He was with Mirage and CAPL. He was with Ape into Ape Wichita Wolves. That core forever too. So he knows what he's talking about. But Border, like you said, even though I don't know if I'm a fan of this from Vipers, it's still not enough to be like to think they're gonna lose.
Yeah. Poison
is a very capable IGL surrounded by 3 proven capable players, and now Drix, who was pretty decent in T3. We can finally load into the game itself. Border can lend itself to some interesting operator bans. We did see just now, we saw Alibi and Amaru. I'm crossing my fingers. I'm hoping we keep this trend of interesting bans.
Vipers favored in this one, maybe the Achilles heel of them, considering the only team to be favored thus far today has also lost, that of course being Parabellum earlier on. The note around bans I think is going to be a little bit more normal than what it was prior. Maybe outliers could come through. Osa, a fairly good ban considering it is Border and how useful the 5.56.11 alongside the Talon shields are. More normal bans should come through later on, especially in the defensive side, but Nook taken off the board early on such a small map of Border nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, even though it's a small map, still nades are oh so important. And I think at this stage of the game, if you're going to ban anyone with nades, it's going to be Nook. Gives you just that little sense of security that you can rely on your info. Banning Osa and Nook, though, does leave every hard breacher still available. It leaves Thatcher up still, Azami, and now Warden being banned.
Interesting.
Ooh, you know what that means? We get Border with Valkyrie. I'm excited.
And
Mira
Cade.
too. Well, Cade to a lesser extent because Thatcher's still up.
True.
But Mira, I remember the old Mira holds on Border were deadly, but they're not going to play either. Okay.
Odd decision, to say the very least, there from the Collegiate connoisseurs. I don't know about that call, not bringing either of the 2 operators you decided to not ban out later on. I suppose you do you, but the call still stands. It could go against you, but, ever so kindly, thank you very much, Ubisoft.exe, we have a rubber band bug, so we'll get a quick rehost in. That does give me a second to talk about 2 different things. Number 1, if Mr. P wants to take on Mr. B, he has to win fairly cleanly here, considering Mr. B is tied for last place because of the 3 different 7-5s we had yesterday. It's only a +2 round differential, so not the greatest point for them to be in. Of course, tied for that last place in the 1-0 slots. Of course, higher your round differential, the lower your opponent's round differential would be. Technically gives you an easier matchup, but not all the time. Sometimes it just depends on draw. The other note is the fact that this is Border for Vipers. We kind of touched on it earlier. I was trying to lead towards predictions for about 2 seconds while they were on screen, but this is a chaotic map for them, especially Poison back on Nocturnes, and it's not one they fully favored, but it's not one they avoided. If it was brought to them, they played it, whether it was in these tier 3 leagues like it was SFCL for them, or especially now into CL as they switch to the Vipers.
Yeah, I think it's still going to be a good map for them. I'm excited to watch Border no matter who's playing it, but I think Mr. P is going to pull out some interesting stuff. Again, I'm worried that we're going to see a repeat of what we saw in the LG Lycus game, where Collegiate might start off, I don't know about hot against Vipers, but they might start out like decently. But if Vipers switch to defense and start bringing out that T2 complexity, I think Collegiate connoisseurs are going to really struggle, because there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with Border that we've seen a lot of in T1 and T2 with these, open angles all the way across the map on the top floor. Those CC holds are really in depth nowadays. And I think Collegiate, with how different the meta is between Collegiate and even tier 3, I think the connoisseurs are going to have a lot of trouble dissecting what Vipers are going to throw at them.
Especially because Vipers don't have recorded history on this map. In the last about 15, 20 seconds, I just casually went through all their CL games over the last stage. They did not play Border a single time, and didn't really have to. They looked clean across the rest of the board, but there has been a decent bit of time between the end of NACL Stage 3 and now the beginning of SCS Season 7, and given the fact that Vipers did not have to go through quals as they were an invited squad from CL, they're in a little bit of a better spot here. They could have some VODs from Collegiate Connoisseurs, pair that alongside the fact that they have yet to play the map as a team since being put together as a team, at least in officials. I'm favoring them for the time being. Of course, that may not be the case. They could come into things playing these other squads in scrims 45 times off streams, and I may just have absolutely no idea, but I feel like the former is indeed the case.
We'll definitely find out when we get into the game. So Vipers, on attack, because we were in the round when the rehost was called, the defense, at the very least, is going to have to stick with all 5 ops and the same site. Whether that proves to be, disadvantageous, if Vipers got a quick look at them before that rehost, is, up for debate. But,
I mean, there's one caveat. The fact that we're right back into the game quickly. Shout out production team and Observer and everybody on the back end for getting us right back underway, because they're cool and we appreciate you. But into the game itself, looking at the Collegiate defense, Mozzie, Castle, Mute, Malusi, Jaeger. There are 2 C4s, there's a decent bit of information gathering, and there's info denial in terms of the Mute Mozzie combo. There are 3 different combinations here I see as main points of contention. The Castle Malusi, the Mute Mozzie, and the Mute Jaeger, all really effective for a defensive setup.
They still have both BPs in pocket. They still have the bulletproofs. Bulletproof caps. They still have both of them in pocket. They still have a Banshee and a Jammer in pocket. I think the setup maybe not quite as quick as they were looking for. They will get their primary utility down, but that info you were talking about is not there yet, and maybe not going to be there at all, considering that Vipers are right up against the building, opening barricades and applying pressure. Drix looking like he's on a solo clear. Now he's got creators downstairs as well, looking to clear out the bottom floor. Creators takes the first bit of damage as he escapes the building and now joins Drix in detention. They'll be hunting down Wacko because he's got that C4, and the longer he lives, the more dangerous it's going to get.
Especially later on when plants become a point of contention for the Vipers side. If they start to get into stagnant positions where they can't do much about moving, that's when Collegiate can really start to strike. Drix is flashed out of their own position by, you'd assume, a teammate, because the defense doesn't have flashes. Nade prepped, and it'll take Lucario out of contention. The Mute gone, their C4 will have no further part in the round, it didn't to start with, but there is a return. Arno finds the kill back with the UMP-45, Maxley's taken care of, and the Twitch, and now that Aerojab wielding Nomad of Poison, both gone. Lots of power back here for Collegiate.
So they have that man advantage, and does Drix not know about this guy still lurking downstairs? The Mozzie gets a freebie. Wacko puts his team in a 4 versus 2 with only Twist and Creators remaining. Still much of the setup upstairs not dealt with by the attack. Twist tries to make his way through CCTV, but is cut down by Arno for the Castle's 3rd kill of the round. And Creators finds himself in a rough spot. Collegiate Connoisseurs start their defense swinging and leave Vipers reeling. Now, I'm sure this Challenger League squad is now going to sit back and reevaluate how they're attacking, because I don't think they expected Collegiate Connoisseurs to come out with quite the bite they've shown.
And the aggression coming back from Arno specifically has gone into so many different positions for Collegiate, and notably, it was Wacko who was downstairs that they just did not fully clear out of the workshop position. Arno finds a 4K, Wacko takes the what would have been an ace possibility away from them, but going back to Wacko, it was ventilation occupied, and they just didn't clear out workshop on the bottom floor. And honestly, I mixed the two up. My bad. Wacko actually found the kill, and Arno stole the possibility of the ace. That's actually how it went.
Vipers, maybe showing some hubris. We need to dial it back. The take,
Attackers need to locate
I
and
don't
defuse
know.
as many bombs
I think it's going to be a lot easier on bathroom tellers now that you know 100% of your manpower should probably be focused on that upstairs clear rather than splitting it between CC and downstairs. They're going to have to deal with quite the roam presence again, though, and we are seeing the Valkyrie come out for Collegiate connoisseurs. No IQ in response from Vipers. They will bring redundancy for the Sledge, with Maxley picking up Buck, and Poison favoring the Lion over Nomad. Oh, there is the... Okay, so there is an IQ. I do like the Lion pick. Lion can be a lot more aggressive than the Nomad can, I feel, and especially on a map like Border, we see Collegiate connoisseurs looking pretty fluid, and the Lion helps put a stop to that.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
On the bright side, all secondary utility that should be placed down pre-round is placed down pre-round, so Collegiate don't need to deal with the bulletproof cameras and, well, now have all their beepers and, well, deployable shield singular down, I suppose. Less to put down, but it was put down regardless. Viper's attack is in an odd spot here, considering that lack of what could be any semblance of a flank watch. The only thing I suppose that could flank watch is Poison on the Lion with the EE1D, but even then, you're really reaching in that conversation. There's no Claymores, there's no primary utility to get off for that flank possibility. Certainly an odd position, especially considering how quickly the Vipers like to just directly attack the site, but if they fully clear quickly enough and actually do fully clear this time around, then they may not need it.
There's a C4 ready and waiting from Wacko. It goes up, but it misses. That was a weird graphical error. But, wow, Drix gets freaking smoked by Deson, peeking in on that Oryx and claiming the life of the IQ. So perhaps the Valkyrie camera is a little harder to spot. At the very least, Arno will not be running amok like he did in the previous round. He falls to Twist. And the man count is even, so Vipers staying in line with their opponents, unlike the previous round, but they trade the IQ for an alibi. I take that if I'm the defense, but there might be another victim being closed in on. No, Wacko avoids the metal stairs and avoids death at the hands of Twist.
Was holding an odd angle, and honestly so is most of the Vipers. Maxley trying to aggress off the back of the EE1D being popped is now trying to play vertically down, but is looking the wrong way. Should be looking towards the south side rather than the north. The entire team seemingly trying to play vertical, but they still have yet to find a kill. C4 is being prepped from above, and there's a black eye up top that's watching that position. The C4 could very well find a kill here. It should be popped in the next second or so. You can see just very narrowly near it for Maxley. They're ever so tantalizingly close to it, but I don't know if it's been popped yet. And, well, at this point, may not matter, considering it's almost certain it's been shot out of position.
They'll fully open up that hatch. The site itself, for the most part, is rather clear, and that's a nice spot from the Buck. Maxley gets an easy one onto Locurio. The drop comes in from the attack, cover from Creators while Twist plants, and the retake is on for the defense. In comes the Valkyrie through those windows, sending a pre-fire in. The Oryx loses his fight to Creators, and Wacko's tasked with taking upstairs. Both defenders separated. No tradability between the two, and the Mozzie gets spotted as his teammate falls. Vipers able to equalize the score.
Quick comeback, and exactly what Vipers needed. They understand exactly what they missed in that first round. It was clearing out section by section the top and bottom floors, and that's what they missed. Wacko, like I said in the previous round, was not cleared out of the workshop. This time around, they fully clear the top floor. They were even worried about what could have been a roam. Here's Twist taking down Arno, the VIP of the previous round. It was just the rest of the team collapsing upon it. As soon as they had the entryways in, without losing as many players on that attack, Drix is the only one to fall, and even then, there wasn't a whole lot of information to take away from that defensive side. The black eye cameras, really the only thing they needed to worry about. Maybe the mute jammers, but even then those have an audio cue and are placed in fairly consistent positions. Nice round from the Vipers and a very quick comeback as required.
I like the cap can coming out from Wacko. Collegiate gonna keep Vipers on their toes and guessing with both the cap can and the vigil coming into play. I mean, if you look at the lineup as a whole, it's odd. It's not normal. There's no smoke, no wall denial, no really hard utility ops. Everyone is either a trap operator or kind of just a play for yourself roamer. Arno hasn't even put down his shield.
No, I just had to commend them in the previous round for putting down all their secondary utility, and now they're not going to do it just to spite me. That's my bad.
There
Finally,
it
it is done. There we go. A little late, but I suppose doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things as long as it's put down the correct position at some time to be effective. EE1D put down. Drone finds Dyson's position, but now they're forced away, and this should be a fairly clean clearance of security. The drone does fully clear out the Oryx, and Vipers do their due diligence. Cross their T's, dot their I's, and drone out what they need.
So far, uncontested. The IQ, probably not going to find as much use as she could have in the previous round, but maybe can spot the Vigil or some of those Capkin traps. Creators does get the first frag of the round onto Deson, so the Oryx is dead. Not the biggest pick in the world, but with Arno now falling, Vipers have a pretty good man advantage, leading by 2. The top floor clear once again, really fearsome from this attack. Locurio trapped in a corner, sent to pre-fire the way of the buck, but now gets shot rotating through the window. Great game sense from Twist to land that pre-fire, and Wacko finally defaults back to sight, but as he does, Kosa will try and replace one of those missing layers on the top floor, coming up the east staircase, but now a drone coming through probably is going to spawn him in the next second or so. Yep, gets shot out, forces the Legion back. Wacko wins a fight through the floor onto Drake, so the IQ's dead, but with Wacko now falling and getting traded out for Twist triple, the situation went from bad to worse. Kosa finds himself stuck in a 1 versus 4 with several attackers bearing down on him, and Poison shoots him in the back for the finisher.
Quick finish, and again, exactly what the Vipers needed. This time around, it was based off of communication. The way they cleared this top floor was based off of A, that communication I was talking about, and B, swiftly droning and then taking the real estate that has now been droned upon, whether it's based off of kills or just based off of the fact that Collegiate was forced so far back, they could not do much about it. You can see these kills coming through favor Vipers in so many different scenarios across the map. There really was not a response from Collegiate, and notably on the Twist kill. You saw Twist get the kill through that window, or through the wall, into the window vault. It was A, off of their map sense and map awareness, B, off of their game sense to know where to shoot, and C, the communication I was talking about, to know where and when to shoot. That's how Vipers were able to take the round as clean as they did.
It seemed like round 1 was a kind of like a feeler round to see how Collegiate Connoisseurs were going to play, and since then, Vipers have had their number. Drix and Maxley switching off the operators they were playing in the previous couple rounds, back to Zoe and Iana, so clearly those two are the main entry duo, though Creators has been the one to get both the opening picks for Vipers so far. I'm glad we're not seeing Bathroom again. No 3 in a row like we saw from PB. That's thumbs up from me.
They're learning from T1 mistakes, and at this point, that just means Collegiate's going to Pro League next year. That's the next squad on the docket, right? Did I read the script wrong? Oh, I read the script wrong. A Collegiate player's going to Pro League next year. My bad. Not the Collegiate.
Yeah. What Collegiate player is going to Pro League?
I don't know. Probably one of them. There's a lot, so my odds have to be fairly good, right? Wacko finds the opener.
I don't think
Pretty good start.
That's never happened, right?
No, it hasn't. At least not directly from Collegiate. They may have gone from Collegiate to a T3/CL team. But
Yeah,
not from my knowledge, CL straight to PL, or Collegiate straight to PL.
Thank God. Let's keep it that way. So, Wacko gets that opening kill onto Creators, knocking off the sledge, and a pretty good spearhead for Vipers so far. With Drix 0-3, Creators has picked up a lot of that slack. Wacko finds a second, taking out Maxley, the Zofia, Nade not doing any damage to Locurio, hungry for that kill on the window onto Drix, but the second Nade maybe coming out? Drix thought about it. He'll just hop in. The what? What?
Yeah, I don't know.
What? Anyway, so Drix dies for free, And Poison and Twist find themselves in a 2 versus 5. Poison on just on the precipice of a kill. He jumps in next, but he actually gets the successful stun, so he's able to land the kill. Twist responds with one on Arno. Now the situation slightly more doable here with Wacko on low HP.
Poison's very lucky that C4 that went up actually hit the ceiling and stuck to it. If it didn't, Poison was a dead man because it went off in time. They do use the Selma to open up 1 of the 4 castle barricades. 2 are still on the board for the defensive side. But now, when push comes to shove, Vipers need to aggress. The caveat to this round is Wacko's fairly low. The spray, however, lands as Poison falls, and Twist now left in a 1v3. A 4K required from the ace, looking for a first, somehow doesn't kill Wacko. I'm sorry, where did that shot go?
Into oblivion. Wow, and then Wacko just smokes him as he tries to jump through the breach. So, a big round for Wacko. And, the only 2 rounds, well, I say only 2, it's tied 2-2. The 2 rounds that Collegiate Connoisseurs have won were a 4K from Arno on Castle, and now a 3K from Wacko on Mozzie. We're going to need to see more consistency. You can't just rely on one guy going huge to win all your rounds, especially on the attack. It's a lot harder to do that on the attack than it is on the defense, and this is kind of, goes to my point about how I'm scared that this might be a repeat of the Lycus game against LG, where, yeah, they started off great on their defense, but once they got to that attack, the complexity really wore them down.
The other note around the defensive side's start for Collegiate, and notably back for S2 as well, I suppose, is the fact that the hero plays in those individual moments are much easier if you're on that defensive side, because the proactivity's not all the time expected from you. Whereas on the attack, you are basically put into so many preset crossfires that it's so difficult to figure out, A, where they are, and take away, B, how they're set up. Enough to at least find the kills you need before falling in your own right. Vipers will set up 2 sets of breach charges on this attack. I'm a little surprised Twist or Drix don't switch in that right, but I don't know. Especially considering it is this top-down into ventilation workshop. I suppose the soft breach could work, but Collegiate seem to be aware of it and are actually favoring the top floor hold.
A little concerning considering how poorly their top floor holds did on the bathroom defenses. And, it's not terribly different here. Good use of that IQ from Drix. It's not only for Valkyrie cameras. You can see pre-play C4s and pests as well. So they avoid the C4 from Arno. Drix now makes his way into the building, joining Maxley, and their first target seems to be Arno himself. That mute holed up in Armory in that small office. He's still got a jammer in pocket. They spot the floor holes being opened, and now the mute himself. And I think they know he's alone, though not for much longer. Wacko comes up to assist, and Wacko, he's been on a heater. Those 2 guys upstairs could be a dangerous proposition for Vipers.
He's on. Forced away. Flash lands. Poison doesn't get the opportunity to find the kill, though, so it's just a position gained here for the Vipers. I don't think they're going to play about that by any means. Arno, now looking to get aggressive, sees one on the far side of the breach, aggresses with the SMG-11, is down to 4 bullets, and is forced to reload, but is still aggressing. Wacko does so as well. Close range, however, now for Arno, with this Mossberg in hand, hits a first shot, only for about 40 damage or so, though, so Maxley's still not healthy, but alive to say the very least, and Collegiate pick up that opener with Wacko onto Drix.
That's the most important thing coming off of this roam. It's quite the improvement. Instead of losing like 3 bodies with nothing in return, they're able to pick off Drix and then fall back as well. But there's still someone from Collegiate Connoisseurs lurking. I think I just saw an orange silhouette in like... yeah, there's still someone in office. Who is that? Locurio? I think he just got spotted by the drone. So they should know he's here. And what? All right, Kosa. Bold play. Now Smoke is dead, but Wacko responds in kind. Second for him. Locurio on the flank. I guess they don't know. Maxley the next to die. It's a 2 versus 4. Vipers trailing in a lot of these rounds, despite how good their previous top floor clear was. And Wacko out-positioning Twist for a third. Not traded back by creators just yet. He wants this fourth with the MX4 Storm. Desan's going to try and ruin it, but he'll pay the price. And out of ammo is the Flores. Can't win the fight with the pistol. 4 for Wacko, and the trend continues. All 3 points from Collegiate coming off of hero plays.
Individuality is nice in unique situations and most of the time single situation rounds. But when you only rely on those solo plays, if you lose 1 or 2 of your heroes, i.e. S2 dropping reverse, for instance, earlier on against PB, or in this situation, when Collegiate have not had Wacko or that very aggressive Arno on the board, they've fallen more often than they've actually picked up some of these rounds. And yeah, congratulations, you have the lead, but it's not something you can always rely on, just straight gun skill from 1 or 2 players to do so alone.
But if they do end up doing that, then, you know, sure, more power to you, I guess. Because we always say you can't rely on it, but sometimes that's just how you win a game. Sometimes that's just the way it works out. So Wacko and Arno doing their best to try and keep their team in control and in the lead. Vipers have got to figure out a way to shut these guys down. And it looks like the answer might be Mr. P on the entry, playing the Zofia. I will say, Vipers are also sorely missing Drick's presence right now. 0-5. Creators are picking up the slack in the early rounds, but they're gonna need him to wake up at some point. He's one of the duo entries, and if your entries aren't firing on all cylinders, it's gonna be hard to take map control against an aggressive team like Collegiate Connoisseurs.
The aggression for Collegiate has continually worked, and as you mentioned, not only Drix, but I think the rest of the team just hasn't been fully prepped for it. Yeah, you see kills found by Twist and Creator, sure, but if you don't have that earlier on rather than sometimes later, as we've seen, or at least less consistently, you don't have those kills on a long-term viable position. Nice kill across onto Zosa, or across from Zosa on towards Drix with the 9x9 VSN. Gives Collegiate at least an equalizer. Desan dropped early. Oh, the C4 4 or 5 seconds earlier. That lands. Unfortunately, it doesn't.
And again, Drix falling without any real impact on the round. Great pick from Kosa to keep his team even. They've got pings on the hib, but Twist evades all but 1 bullet from Arno. Doesn't land on the head, so he'll survive for now, but still, Vipers are taking quite a long time to clear into this top floor. They did so well on the previous 2 bathroom attacks, but this time struggling, as Poison's the next to fall to the gun of Kosa. Maybe his time to shine as the individuality theme still plays out. Arno and Maxley trade a lot of damage from those floorboards. Kosa gets shut down, Wacko's the next to fall, and Vipers have reclaimed the man advantage.
Curio and Arno left alone, though, are the players you'd want. Arno, still with the MX4 Storm, surprisingly prepping for the next season with the holographic on it, but still has it in their back pocket. With the hatches open now for the attacking side, it is down to Arno in a 1v3, and unfortunately, losing their comrade leaves it to just the alibi, of whom is removed from up above. Twist finds the kill, and Vipers even up the half 3-3 at the split.
So it was about time. Vipers won off of hero play as well, despite the top floor clear being really slow and losing several bodies in Poison and Drix. Max stepped up where it mattered despite the low HP through the floor, able to get 3 kills on the round and deny Collegiate Connoisseurs any site presence there. Being able to cut off those rotations and kill players on those vertical cutoffs was really well done, and that's the mark of a good Buck player. So they tie the half 3-3. It is not over yet. Vipers now on to that defensive side where they should start to run up the score.
You'd expect given it is the Vipers. And look at the operator composition we see from the defensive side. Now, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong here, because I'm looking at my own notes. We have not seen a single one of the currently listed defensive operators thus far in this map. Poison bringing in the Echo for sure is a new one. There is yet to be a Canadian operator other than the attacking side, that being actually Vipers playing the Buck prior. Drix is bringing the Mira, surprisingly banned out by Collegiate, them instead favoring the Warden, and Creators, instead of favoring what is the Kaid, brings forward the Bandit. You'd expect for a possible trick, considering, well, Impact EMPs exist and can very rarely miss up against Bandit batteries, and Thatcher's unbanned.
Speaking of the new operators on the side of Vipers, I mean, look at Collegiate as well. Glaz, Ying, Gridlock, Thermite, none of those being played by Vipers, and it's the Ying to get the first kill of the round, the suppressed LMG, shooting Twist in the back, and because he was stuck mid-rotate, not a whole lot he can do about it. Kosa makes his way into the building, eats just one bullet, but comes away safely. But even though you get that wayward kill on the Twist, it's on the Frost. Now you have to deal with this Mira extension aided by an Echo, and that might be difficult for Collegiate connoisseurs to deal with, especially now that they've lost Glaz. Sure, he's not the best operator in the world, but usually when you bring him, it's because you're playing around him.
The lack of now that Glaz and Arno bringing the smokes really puts it into perspective how much they, I think, not relied on the Glaz, but were planning around them. Arno meleeing the barricade, the spray around from Axley. It's the second attempt that lands at the Mark 14, looking to now swing towards that long catwalk in square. Decides a little bit better of it. Kosa there, and it on the other side, but only through the wall, and with that X-ray vision, at least you hope, there on the attacking side. The advantage certainly there for the Vipers, and now doubled up as Kosa is taken out, ironically enough, by that Bandit of whom was so close, and a follow-up from Axley, that'll end it.
Oh, no.
Twist! It's the bear trap. Oh no.
And, am I allowed to say I told you so? What did I say?
You are more than welcome.
What did I say? Vipers are going to throw out something weird. They bring out Mira, Echo, Aruni, a CCTV hold, which is where like 4 out of the 5 Collegiate connoisseur players die trying to take into CC. They just couldn't do it. There were too many obstacles in their way. The Aruni DMR was going off. There was info on them the entire time, thanks to the yokai drones from Poison, who was just calling out to his team. I mean, if the defenses keep up like this, you don't even need Drix. Bro's 0-6, but Creators has 8, Twist has 7, Maxley has 7. Poison's leading the charge with that IGL capability that we all know him for. You know, Collegiate connoisseurs are going to have to change something up. We're going to Workshop now. And, the Glaz is still in play. This is something we saw from their qualifier game. The last one for them to qualify where they came back and won 7-5 after being down 0-5. Glaz was a mainstay. Glaz and Ying both. They didn't actually like use it all that much though. I'm hoping we see some of that this time, but they're also going up against 3 bulletproof cams. So
Basically a Glaz scope, but in terms of vision rather than, you know, lethality, I suppose. And technically tactical, just the same, considering there's now a little, like, Twitch drone-esque zapping feature on those for all of you who don't read patch notes. It's still aggression from Viper, still looking to aggress towards the CC side. Spray from Arno misses. Maxley not so much. Drops Arno as they stand. Another set of smoke grenades falls fairly early in the round, and Maxley still getting aggressive, finds a follow-up on Kosa, who's just sent packing through 3 different doorways on a pixel angle, no less. Vipers, 2 early kills, 40 seconds in. If Maxley finds a third, no, he will not. Lokirio, from even further away, finds the return, but nonetheless, still a 4v3, and the Ying and IQ both removed leads favorably towards the Vipers' side.
Well, another standout play. Maxley destroying almost half of the Collegiate connoisseurs' attack. especially with that Ying that they're bringing, that they're relying to combo with the Glaz to get themselves in like it's year 3. Well, you don't have that anymore. So we'll see how these 3 attackers adapt. Creators overhealing himself to go for the peak as Doc. He can heal 200 HP now, though you can only overheal to by like 20 points now, so you can only get to 145. And Wacko gets 1 bullet into the body of poison. Unfortunately, you know, this isn't old Glaz. You need more than 1. He's quickly felled. Twist gets another. Locurio trades back 1, but there's still 3 more to go. Poison, sure, he's low HP. You're sold against Twist and Drix. Well, one of them's 0-6. You're still up against Twist, who's been doing really well for himself. He's got a minute. He's got a decent amount of time. All right, never mind.
Yep.
Never mind.
Had a minute. He also had HP.
Poison's
he no longer has either
just
of
there.
those two. That moment when you're on the far side of the map, far removed from the site as a whole, and somebody's just waiting for you to walk into a doorway. You're like, why are you there?
Poison
and then they're
had
probably
the
thinking
cutoff.
the same thing to you.
He had the cutoff.
Hey, Mr. P was just prepared. That's all it is. He's just waiting inside of the passport. Maxley, a call out to our co-streamer Super. And Vipers, now a 2-round on the defensive side. Collegiate haven't had all that much of a response, and I like Vipers continually switching things up. Now you see Drix, who still has yet to find a kill, but in all fairness hasn't really needed to thus far, switch again, this time onto a castle. The other note about Doc, by the way, my favorite combination is bringing Rook Doc, where you can technically get DB-A'd twice in a round, one to pick yourself up, and the other to stim yourself up, with the Withstand feature now added to the Rook armor. It also allows you to overheal to like 165. It's clean.
I like that. Well, we'll see if Collegiate has any semblance of a competent response against a Challenger League team. I'm hedging my bets on no, but we'll see. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. Maybe we'll be proven wrong. Again, another.
You know why?
What? Why what?
So the reason Collegiate seemingly can't do all that much in the second half is because Forceful just predicted Vipers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a death sentence.
That's it.
Don't let Forceful predict against you. Unless, apparently, you're Wacko, because he doesn't care. Poison, first one to fall, and a follow-up, they're just aggressing straight through. They take full bathroom teller's control. The attacking side has the site, at least one of the two. And they also have a team kill. Oh, no.
So the man advantage slips just a little bit, but they still lead. The Ying comes out, blinds all those players in bathroom. Kosa finds another on creators. Maxley and Drix are sitting ducks if they eventually push in. The LMG comes through, but Maxley shuts it down. So a 2 versus 3. But once again, these last 2 defenders are stuck in bathroom. The attack knows exactly where they are, but Maxley destroys Kosa to get the equalizer. Wacko's gonna try planting. They know where Deson is, though. He's tucked inside of Workshop. In comes the castle of Drix, pre-firing away, forces Wacko off the plant because he's not confident in the cover Deson is providing. You gotta trust your teammate. Nade goes out to try and stall the player on the door, but the wraparound from the alibi just misses the shots. Deson lit up by the bailiff. Maxley can't connect. He's out of ammo. So is the buck. You got an underbarrel shotgun. Use it. The knife. 3 kills for Max. Dusted by Wacko. Drix on 0 kills. The only hope Wacko wins it with the pistol. What?
So this is usually the point where I'm supposed to tell you why the heck that happened. I think this is where I retire.
Just give up.
There's no way. I refuse to believe it. Vipers were coming back in that. Maxley gets a knife kill, but Wacko's like, you know, I'll just find a casual quad. And then walks away with a round victory because of it. I don't know how in the world Collegiate was able to pick that one up after throwing away so many different duels. It was a 3K, by the way, from Wacko, not a quad. But Vipers, every day of the week, you should have at least won that fight. And you don't?
Well,
oh my.
I do like even though it got really crazy at the end, right? Like, Collegiate should have probably locked that round out earlier. But I do like the strategy they employed, right? It's what I was talking about with LG, except not exactly the same. If the setup is complex and you have no idea how to get around it, then just don't push into it, right? It's different on Border because it's not quite as big and sectioned off as Villa is, right? With Villa, you know, if there's a complicated master setup, you just go study. If there's a complicated study setup, you just do master direct. On Border, it's different because it's so small. But I love that Collegiate is like, all right, if they're going to pull out this crazy roam, because it was set up well, you know, the shield and fountain, there was a whole setup and armory and office, blah, blah, blah. Collegiate were like, no, we're just going to hit site immediately. That's it. They just skipped it. They skipped the step, and it worked. It probably should have worked better than it did, but it still worked. I don't know if they're going to do it again.
I don't know if Maxley hears them. They may be able to just walk in from behind because of this. But Curio, yeah, it's Goza to just find the kill.
Hell?
Poison reaggressing, but he walked straight into them. He actually got blown up by a Gon 6. They tried to whip it out to break utility and or take down the Surrogate. Instead, they find a kill. Creators from behind finds a refrag. Kosa now watching the flank, but right in front,
got a kill.
It's Drix from the fountain side who now finds a kill. Kosa wasting no time with kills of their own, though, but the M7 finds one back the other way. A 3v2 favors Collegiate for the time being, but Drix, now with a kill, is still alive and now jumping out. He finds another.
Again, Collegiate connoisseurs just pull something wacky out, and it's not working this time, though. The info, there's still a BP! I didn't even realize that. Kosa finally deals with it. Maybe he can recover his teammate, but he's contesting a shield. He's got no more impacts because he used both to kill Poison, which was just incredible. I'm hoping maybe this is where Drix wakes up after those 2 kills. Pickup comes out. Vipers will allow it. Arno's now low HP and starved of utility, but he does still have 2 smokes. He's going to use both of them. Maybe they're going to try to just get into the site off of the smoke coverage? They're not moving in for now, though. Maybe it was just a distraction plan.
No!
Oh, no. Kosa jumps through the window and gets matted, meaning Arno's last alive with 1 HP unless he goes for the pickup. Yeah! Another pickup. Now both of them are 20 HP. But yeah, because of that yokai drone, the defense knows. So they know these guys are lit up. It's the MP7 and the Vector. So maybe 2 bullets, I guess, from each of those weapons will put him down. Since those shots came out, though, Creators will turn around, get the first one on Arno. Kosa is alone in a 1 versus 2, and the time has bled away. 15 seconds remaining. Drix is playing passive. Creators going to be the first one to take the fight. Drix plays off the contact and gets his 3rd silent up until now, but saves the round for his team, and Vipers go up to match point.
And Collegiate to slow things down for 1 round, please. Because the Vipers were then forced to just completely send it. Drix found 2 kills, now up to a 3rd with that shot across, and just casually, by the way, walked away with just about everything possible. Kosa asking if he got the injure through, and yeah, Poison saying it was indeed. It was not the Gon 6, it was the breach, as you mentioned later on. And I'm still just really surprised that Vipers were able to come back like that, because Collegiate seemingly had such a decisive advantage early on in the round, but they took that advantage and then did very little with it quickly enough. The W key should have been held down. Unfortunately, it was Vipers to quickly return and then straight into a 3v3 that was significantly more possible.
Vipers are 1 round away from winning. I think what might have also helped is that, like, with the bathroom attempt, right? Collegiate connoisseurs, they got in there. Vipers were kind of stuck on site. There was not a lot of prep in site because most of that is around the top floor hold. But with armory, like, you're holding armory. So I think that definitely worked in Viper's favor, just having more of a setup on the site where the attack was pushing. So we'll see how they do on Workshop, a site where you have to hold that top floor. But there's no rush from Collegiate. They're going to do an actual clear. And, you know, hate me for saying this, but I kind of disagree with this. I mean, the times they've gone for normal clears, they've gotten freaking smoked. And then they won a round off of a weird rush, and they almost won another round off of a weird rush. So, I don't know. It's an interesting debacle to have to try and solve.
Real debacle for Collegiate is how do you put together back-to-back rounds against the Vipers' defense, much less a single one, especially when you're attempting what is a normal clear. The issue, I think, with directly attacking the site is that the verticality is so much easier to play long-term down towards this site, being Ventilation Workshop, compared to what is Bathroom Tellers. Yeah, you can hold top floor, but you don't have as many lines of sight nor actionable positions to work off of from that top side. Wacko the spray with the M7, it clears out that position, and the Rima dash across will keep Maxley alive for the time being. Still a 5v5.
Bomb located by attackers.
I'm really sad they're not going for something weird again. And they're already going to get punished. Poison. The lead-off kill onto Arno the Ying. Not the player you want to lose. And with Wacko going down 12-7, is the only positive member of your squad. That could be the final nail in the coffin for the Connoisseurs. Stuck in a 3 versus 5. D-Son almost dying to a long angle, being held to the window by Poison. Another player going over towards Customs by Supply, peeking through the window, applying more pressure to D-Son, making sure he's not comfortable sitting even outside the building. Nowhere is safe for Collegiate right now.
Well, they're trying to make the site theirs, but they have to take the top floor first, and they're doing so with just 39 seconds left. Continually walking into that Prisma, by the way, gives continuous pings towards the defense. 1v5 for Kosa with that very difficult position to play around. You know, low HP, low positioning, and now no round. Vipers cleanly take away the final round of this best of 1. They take the map of Border 7-4.
So, a better fight from Collegiate Connoisseurs than I expected. Definitely didn't expect an even half to start with. So 7-4, you know, taking 4 rounds off Vipers as a pug stack of Collegiate players is certainly commendable. But, TTL, if I may gloat. I called it. I freaking called it. I am so smart. Collegiate Connoisseurs, sure, they cook up on the defense. It's going well and good. They start even against Vipers on Border, traditionally an attacker-sided map. Great. Epic. Super for Collegiate. But then the same thing happened. They were faced with a tiny bit of complexity on those off-site holds, or the site hold from Armory, which was really off-site too because of that CCTV presence. The upstairs roam on Workshop, they got smoked. They try to avoid it, which is something Lycus Empire didn't do, which was successful for 1 round, but then the moment they stop pulling out weird stuff and go back to the normal style of attacking, oh, they get smoked again. Because they can't digest the complexity of a simple T2 level upstairs roam. So, what can I say? I really am something, aren't I? To quote the great Carter Casting Links Hannafeld.
The other note about that for Collegiate was the fact that the attacking side, as I mentioned earlier, was more difficult to find hero plays on, and I think they relied on those a little bit too much. Arno into the second half, I think, did very little overall, ended with 6 kills, and ended the first half with 4. Looked a little bit better, of course, off that single solo play while playing the castle, but past that, didn't perform up to snuff when they really needed to, and when push came to shove, it was Vipers on the defensive side to have that consistency around them. Collegiate can have as many hero plays as they want in the first half. If it's A, not consistent, and B, not transferable onto their attack, it's C, not gonna work out in the long term.
Yeah, that was still quite the attempt from Collegiate Connoisseurs. All right, yeah, like we said, round 1 that they won, 4K from Arno. Rounds 4 and 5, 3K from Wacko, 4K from Wacko. And then the 1 round on the attack they won, 3K from Wacko off a rush. Like, You got to have something more substantial to that than that. What I will say, though, to their credit, like I said, getting 4 rounds on Vipers was more than I expected, more than probably a lot of people expected, considering not only are they a pug stack, but they're a pug stack of collegiate players who play in a very different meta than what we're seeing here in, very different from T3, never mind T2 or T1, who they might potentially have to go up against. But I think collegiate connoisseurs, too, are also just looking at this league more of just to have fun. And there's something to be said about that. Sometimes players play the best when they're just chilling and have nothing to lose. But if we take a look at the stats, Maxley had a standout game, 14-6, almost a 1.5 rating. What I'm a little surprised by is how good the entry differential is from Collegiate.
It looked better because of how quickly they played. I think the main caveat to that was Creators and Maxley, who found 2 kills apiece on the entry, where they were looking to get aggressive. Notably, it was Maxley on that Oryx and then Creators on the attacking side with that Sledge. But Wacko was able to play aggressive, and when they found the kills, they flourished. They played Glaz a few times on that attack, but their mainstay that was a little bit better for them was that Zofia. As soon as they switched to the Glaz, they seemingly forgot how to shoot back. Unfortunately, the OTS, not as much as it used to be here in Rainbow Six Siege. But the rest of the team, honestly, just not there enough. Desan did find a kill, but when that's a conversation point, that's when we have an issue.
Yeah, not the best performance from Collegiate Connoisseurs as a whole. I'm really glad too that Drix stepped up towards the end of it. Right, he started 0-6, and then ended 3-7. So sure, it may have been a little too late for him to really find a huge impact, but the impact was there nonetheless.
He found an impact when he really needed to. That's the biggest part about it. If you come through in a single round and clutch up when required, that's when you can pull forward. The Vipers as a whole clutched up, and understandably so, as they deserve it. We'll get an interview in with them. Crow, take it away.
We're going to be talking to not Poison as we normally see, but their coach, Wasp. Wasp, how are you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm pretty good too. That match was interesting, in a word, to say the least. So coming into this, right, you're up against a pug stack, not only a pug stack, but a pug stack against collegiate players. I mean, what was the game plan? What were you guys expecting?
Well, so most people don't know, Drix was a pickup like literally 2 days ago. So we had run like a lot of tryouts, and he was initially like one of the first ones, but we had to rerun some stuff. And so our time to integrate him like really into our team, get the team chemistry down, the strats, and kind of the way we go about our attacks hasn't really been there. We're working a lot on that right now, like quite a lot, and so that time just hasn't been there. So today our goal was to try to just focus on what we could. Droning was a big part of it, knowing that pug stacks usually kind of just like to run around with 1.5s, which was very true today. So that was kind of our main focus, was to try to integrate him as best as we could with the system that we have, and not be too pressured as far as the attack stuff. Try to be really flexible with him, and first game with the team, it takes some time. He's a beast. Everybody knows that. He doesn't have to really prove that to himself. And the last round when he needed to show up, he did.
And speaking of him, what was it that you liked so much about Drix over all the other tryouts?
Well, we were really looking for like frag potential. So most people know that we had, in looking for replacements for Filthy, not really replacements, but we were looking for people kind of in spot of that, as he had to take some time away for work reasons. We were trying to look for someone with a lot of firepower who also had really good communication and was kind of had the ability to call things, not necessarily as a co-IGL, but had the ability to if they needed. And Drix was someone that we immediately noticed was really, really good in the communication side of things, and be able to call things when needed and take power when he in like the rounds that he needed to, as well as he was just a gunner on entry and was really flexible on defense with the different roles that he could play.
Cool. I'm glad to hear about it, considering he's such a new player, that he's still so vocal on the team. Why did you guys end up with Border? Because Border, traditionally both old Border and new Border is a map where you can get away with some pretty crazy stuff, and you guys don't really have a history on this map in T2 at least. What was the game plan going here all of a sudden, and up against a pug stack as well?
Well, you answer the question for yourself. We don't have a history on this map. We're not. I mean, we were kind of. It was one of those things we had been practicing the map quite a bit. and the way the bans went was more like the maps that we enjoy to play, so forth was kind of what they banned. And we were trying to, you know, get on something new, and nothing to take away against those guys. They're good, but there are, you know, pro league teams and really good T2 teams in this. So to save those better strats and better maps, we definitely wanted to try to, you know, save our strats and our competitive play for those situations.
Gotcha. Well, it definitely makes sense, Wasp. Even though it was a weird game with plenty of weird rounds, congrats on the opening win. I look forward to seeing Drix more acclimated with the roster. Anything you want to say before we sign off?
I don't think so. I appreciate everybody coming out and supporting us in and outside of the stream. Thank you, guys.
Cool. All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Well, that's it for us. We were responsible for the first 2 games. Of course, I was filling in for Tanner Forceful, and that's game 2 done. Remember, we still have 2 more, and these 2 games look promising. Up next, Wichita Wolves, JJ's team, up against Aerial Arise Academy, and the last game of the night going to be OXG up against HK Rebels, another T1 versus T3. So, time to I hope you enjoyed yourself for our very first cast.
I did. It was a big blast. I'm happy to hop on for SCS. Hey, don't forget, not only do we have more games later today, but we have games over the next 3 days, as a matter of fact. That's true, too. Alongside next week, where I happen to be coming back. So you should totally come back.
Let's go. Well, that's going to be it for us. We're going to pass the microphones to the capable hands of Klimps and Light Rose for the last 2 games. So stay tuned. We'll have them guiding you through the last 2 just after this.